Time for a follow-up on the Killer Krawler 2 that I built over the holiday season in 2015 and released for New Year's Eve for the start of 2016. I had the yellow bod on it over here, the Chev. Very, very nice. And here's the bod that came with it. The flame job is just amazing. Well, it doesn't come with it, but it's kind of part of the package that you buy. And a lot of folks were asking questions, and I figured I'd try to answer some of them today, something easy for you guys. I would love, number one, to take this out right now, but there is so much snow outside, and not only snow, because snow is fun for RC, but it is bitter cold where I'm living right now. It's about minus 25. Yeah, a lot of things snap, and lipos don't like that kind of cold weather, but no matter. Let's do the overview. Look at the size of the tire. It is the size of my, like more than the size of my hand. The lug nut goes way inside there. You need a long socket. You can kind of see it back there. A long socket with an extension to get these even in place. These are aluminum rims I showed in the unboxing video. A lot of people ask me why I went with the TSL boggers instead of the ones that they suggest that you get with it, because I could use either ones. And I love the demolishers. These are the demolishers. These have a lot of bite, and I did point out the lugs and the tread that are on them. Very aggressive, and I'll be switching in between the two. But yeah, just for the aggressive look as well, plus something a little bit different, I went with the TSL boggers. Plus, I ordered them by accident when I was trying to order some mudslingers. I kind of mentioned that as well. Those tires back there, like, these are regular 2.2s. These aren't mudslingers, of course. These are regular 2.2s. These are the 40 series mudslingers. I talked about this before. But you can really see, and these are like a large tire. These ripsaws from Axial, huge tire. They're really, really tall. But then when you look at these mudslingers, totally different tread. Kind of looks the same, but they're not. They're treaded and siped differently. These are on my Summit. So these huge TSL boggers, I thought, for a little bit of unique look and just for a gnarly size, we might as well go with this. And so that's why I did that. One of the things I mentioned in my running video, unfortunately, was that I was having problems with the back servos. It felt like I didn't have enough power, even though I am using a 20 amp BEC, I believe, from Castle, not the 10 amp, but the 20. And that's regulating power to my servos outside of the ESC. So all of these servos are getting powered directly off the battery with a proper voltage regulator. The problem was, take off the bod, this killer bod. 8 scale body, we're gonna talk about that as well. Okay, inside, if you guys haven't seen the build video series, it was quite detailed. The playlist is available on my channel. You know, if you want to kind of sit and work on your RCs while I'm working on this one. So here we go. So for these servos, because there's 3, locking differential, and then these 2 servos here that control the steering rod. These 2, all 3 have to go to extensions. I didn't have this battery properly zip tied in, and so when I was doing like a burnout in that video, I didn't realize that the battery had slipped back and actually done that. So I was only functioning on 1 servo. So there's a question answered. Unfortunately, that 1 servo, even though it's 277 ounces of torque each, was, you know, good, but not good enough to really do some good turning. The fronts were good though. That's what I was surprised. I didn't understand. So next question, Medic, could you do me a favor and please show us the suspension springs? Well, I'm going to get in there a little bit more. I'm going to remove this battery and I'll show you how all these arms and the cantilever works, okay? All right, radio's on, and warning, this is about to get very technical. I may lose a lot of you here because you're not at this level or you're not in this area, but for others that are watching, they will certainly get some help out of this if they're having power issues running big servos and you got stuff shutting down. So hopefully stay with me. I'll try to make this quick, and we're going to go over what's on the inside, okay? So the battery itself I've removed. It is a 4S14.8 3300 milliamp hour battery. I've run the Krawler for about a half an hour. That's what I get out of this bat. So I've got the radio already turned on. I do have it running in different modes. So I'll be setting up the radio differently later because I would like my locking diffs on a switch instead of up and down like this. But it's not a big deal for me because I got enough control on the sticks that I'm not all over the place with them. So long story short, the BEC. A lot of people ask me, what is a BEC? Why do I need a BEC? Why is it called a battery elimination circuit? And these are all great questions, so I'm going to try to do my best to answer most of them. So underneath here is a battery tray. This is where the battery tray goes, and that's where you're supposed to fit the battery. That's why I've chosen the 4S 3300 milliamp hour, because it will fit in the slot fairly well. Anything else, and you're kind of pushing it, But you could mount it on top. The problem with mounting it on top is that these cantilever shocks on the inside with these arms, they actually need a lot of room on the inside to flex. And so if you don't have your battery mounted up higher, you're going to bump in your battery if it's any larger with these shocks. If you hurt the LiPo, it will explode and your RC will be on fire. Well, it won't explode, but anybody who's seen a LiPo fire knows how dangerous that is. Okay, so on the inside, this thing is a behemoth. It literally does weigh 35 pounds. So people have been asking me about the electrical system because I didn't do the electrical system in the build video series. Spectrum receiver, I definitely needed multiple channels for what was going on. Move that out of the way. This is an RX8 ESC Tekin. It's for 8 scale normally. I did run dual motors off of one ESC. I just soldered them to the same posts and it's just fine. I've been doing it for a long time. Even with these motors, it's a-okay. Well, for me, I haven't had a problem. The one thing that is an issue is when you're running big, powerful servos that suck up a lot of juice, and this one has 3 servos and 3 servos, so that's 6 in total, plus it's got the 2 motors. These are asking for a ton of power from the battery. And if I don't have a BEC, this is the Castle Pro I have in here. The BEC is basically a voltage regulator, from what I understand. So when these servos are asking for power, they're working together and they need a lot of jam to turn these big stupid tires. And then I want a locking diff and I switch the other 2 servos on so they're activated. And then I need the whole thing to move forward. Well, all that power needs to be distributed properly for this thing to work. And as awesome as the RX8 is, it has a nice high performance and high power BEC on it already, but it cannot handle the power drain of all of these servos. It actually needs help. So instead, I run the receiver and I run the servos straight through the BEC to the battery. I'm going to plug this in. Everything is turned on immediately except for the ESC. The ESC is not turned on. I actually have it on the off switch. This is how you can tell. See, the receiver is getting the signal. It's getting the power. But no motors. There's no motor power. There's nothing going on. Just the receiver and the servos. They get their power right now. You can see with that second servo installed right there, there's plenty of jam in these servos. Wah, 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 wah. It's only when I go and turn on the ESC itself that it activates and I'm ready to go. That will let me go. What? So there. So that shows you how a BEC powers everything from the battery without it having to go through your ESC. Hopefully that makes sense to all you electric heads out there. All right, so some of you wanted to see the suspension and how these arms and springs actually work together and how is it better than the conventional just one spring. And really it depends on who you talk to, I suppose. First off, it looks pretty darn cool. Let me get you in closer. Whoa, okay. So there's, on either side, there's 4 shocks, well, 2 per side, small and large, and there's 2 sets of arms. 1, 2, they're black and hard to see. 1, 2, but this one I'm going to focus in on for you, right? So when there's just 1 shock, you get 1 compression, but this whole setup, it's like grasshopper legs. See that? The inside compresses and gives you a lot more room. So there it is, just sitting without any compression, and then compression. So that's quite a bit of movement, but you still have a ton of clearance. I definitely want to get some Delrin skid plates for these motors because they're going to hang up, but I think on the trail this would actually be a lot of fun. People have been asking me to show them the articulation range of it. My pleasure. So here we are. Just kind of give it a twist to the side. That's quite a bit. That's like my arm. There you are. So it gives you a good look at the range. It's not going to flop right over, thankfully. I wouldn't want it to be just straight up and down 90 degrees. But you can see the twist on it is quite a bit. So for these large meats that are on it, it's got lots of surface area, and I'm going to like that when it's time to go out on the trail. Surface area is your friend when you're trying to go uphill, that's for sure. Then that kind of brings me to one of the final things we'll talk about. A lot of folks have been saying, you need a 1/4 scale body on there. Get a larger body. Why did they do an 8 scale body for a 1/4 scale truck? That doesn't even make sense. Until you see one thing and you kind of wrap your head around the idea of this being a crawler and that much articulation that I just showed you. Check this out. Now, yes, we are getting multiple tire turns, and that means tires come closer to the chassis to begin with. Now, even if you're straight on like this and you start to articulate, that body is, if it's a 1/4 scale body, look at that, you're going to be rubbing, right? There's no way you'd have any clearance there unless your body was way up here, and in which case that would look awesome, but there's nothing available for that right now. I would love something like that, but the small bod on here is, well, small. I don't really think it's small. A lot of you are asking me, why is it tilted to the side? It looks like it's kind of off. And you're right, I did do the pre-sunk holes, but I haven't adjusted the suspension so the body fits perfect on there yet. This was just another thing, but they did have pre-drilled holes that you just had to, they were countersunk, you just had to drill through them. So I will fix that. That's not a big deal. Lift it up so it's straight. Yeah, it does look kind of small, granted, but I totally understand why the heck it's been done, right? Because body rub sucks when you're out on the trail. Anyway, guys, thanks a lot for tuning in today. I hope this answers a lot of your questions. I appreciate all the support that you gave me while I was building this rig, and yes, we will have this out on the trail. I gotta wait for some of the snow to melt, and it's early in the winter season, but I will keep building. And if this was a little bit too technical for you and you are brand new to the hobby or kind of intimidated, please don't be. I've done tons of videos that could totally cater to the new folks of the hobby, and this one is just a little bit on the more advanced side. So get out there, try RC, have some fun, get some fresh air, go outside, and I will see you in the next episode of RC Adventures. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.